The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, and squeezably soft host. Of course, yesterday, kind of a big day, monstrous volume. What we don't have today is monstrous volume and much of a move. So no real follow-through either way to the upside or to the downside. Kind of went up earlier in the day and has sold off on rather light volume, just 2.4 billion shares. On any day, that would be probably pretty good. I suspect we've had the high volume watermark of December yesterday. It will probably be a little bumpy, but on the downside from now on into the end of the year. We've got a little bit going on out here with the Italy vote over the weekend, although I think it's highly overblown for the markets. But I think a lot of people got short. We got a reading on the NASDAQ shorts that was off the scales, Captain. And normally that makes a very tough way to make money on the short side. Doesn't mean it's not going down. Just means normally it's going down rather slower than it would be. Or if we start heading higher, look out for a short squeeze. As always, we come to you at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And in the previous show, I hadn't heard it, but Steve Rhodes was talking about the Hindenburg omen. And kind of interesting gentleman that I had on, I think probably in 2011 or 2012, because he came out with another Hindenburg omen then, and there's been like a whole bunch of them. He died not too long after that. He had all kinds of problems, physical problems. He was blind, but professed to be a shooter, although he was blind. But really what he had was this giant contraption that lined the thing up for him. So I don't know if you could say that he was really a shooter. He kind of pulled the trigger. I think the thing kind of beeped when he actually had the crosshairs on something. I'm just not glad. I'm glad I wasn't around when he was shooting. But it's kind of interesting. He kind of long on the bull. I did ask him if I wrote a scanner for these patterns, what would I find historically? He said 1 out of 10 worked. Said he kind of regrets giving it a nice and colorful name like the Hindenburg omen. And I thought that, it was one of those things where he kind of put it out there, gave it a nice name, and everybody, because he gave it a nice name and it worked once, yelled and screamed. There was a gal, I'm trying to remember her name now, that made 1,000 predictions every year. I want to say Jean Dixon, made 1,000 projections every year. And, of course, if you make 1,000 predictions, 1 or 2 or 3 are going to pan out if you make them broad. Normally, these frauds that are around in investigations of missing people will always say they're going to be found by a large body of water, right? And there's always like a water tank or a bathtub or, where isn't there a lot, unless they're out there in the middle of a desert somewhere. Normally, you can get covered by saying, well, they were found along the river. Well, maybe that's where everybody dumps the body in that city. Well, it was a large body of water. It's practically useless information, but it was kind of interesting. He wasn't a huckster. He wasn't trying to snow me with the interview, but I thought it was very interesting. But always good to get a lot of people ginned up when you do something like that. But accidental marketing is the term I think he used on it, and admitted that there's some other things that he did that worked much better than the Hindenburg omen for the end of the market. Anyway, we're off 2 points on the S&P cash. Again, volume pretty light compared to yesterday, just 2.35 billion shares. And, we've got, I've got a lot of stocks. We'll show a couple of them. Again, don't want to confuse indexes with a broader market, especially when we talk about the NASDAQ, where 6 stocks are actually, what can you say? 6 stocks are, 54%? I think that's what I saw last time. The top six stocks in the NASDAQ make up 54% of one index. Not much of an index, so I kind of look at the S&Ps. But always kind of interesting out there. What do we have? We had a huge day down yesterday. Massive, absolutely massive shorts being put on. One of the largest in a long time. Not surprised to not see much of reaction out here today. Normally, massive short positions are a sign of a bottom, not a top. Normally, people can't short the top. Maybe there's something they know. My guess is that a lot of people don't want to get caught flat-footed again and ended up putting a bunch of hedges on that will come off Monday when nothing again happens on the vote in Italy. In the meantime, it's about time to get this party started.
Then it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Bill Omaha, the Titanic Syndrome signal. Never heard of that one. I loved Mutual of Omaha. They always had the 2 guys. The one guy looked like if he ever went out in the wild, he would actually get eaten by a lion instantly. I'm trying to remember. He was kind of old and frail already. Marlon Perkins, that's who it was. Thanks. Always interesting. Anyway, on this day, a little bit different thing happened, and that is in 2001, Enron Corporation, the 7th largest corporation in the U.S., goes bankrupt, filing for protection from creditors under Chapter 11 of the Federal Bankruptcy Code. The disclosure of the worst accounting scandal in American history has vaporized $60 billion in Enron's stock marketing value. Less than 10 months earlier, Enron stock had traded more for $80 per share. Now it's worth then it was worth 26 cents a share on the day it closed. I remember I did one of my most stupid trades and made money, and that's I think it was like $10. It went down to like $6.50. I bought it. It bounced up to $9. And I sold it, made a bunch of money, and that was all within 2 hours. And then it went to 0. And I'm thinking, this isn't 2001. I hadn't been around that long. I'm thinking, you know what? I would have been better off losing that trade than I would have been winning. But that's always interesting out there. You develop bad habits when good things happen when you do stupid things. And I'll always remember that. We'll come back. We'll talk just a little bit. And I don't know if there's anything more. It's like a dead horse. We can kick Enron as many times as we want. I just have one last thing to say about Enron. And it has to do with Mr. Rope.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And the only thing that probably the best part of Enron was that if you ever watched the show Mr. Robot, which the first season was fantastic, the second season, it's kind of hard to remember a show that I loved so much on the first season went so wrong in the second season. But the first season, well worth seeing up until the last episode. It's a binge-worthy one, but they have a thing that they kind of drop out of reality for a second, and they call it Evil Corp. Although it's actually got a real name, but they call it Evil Corp so long, and it's got this big E, and they actually bought the Enron E to set out in front of this building while they do the shooting. That's always pretty hysterical. Anyway, we will move on from one of the biggest frauds, although someone did bring up a issue that is very, very like that with Alibaba today. We've already brought it up on the show a few times, but it makes me nervous. Jim Chanos, and I think the Centron guys, I want to say his name's Mr. Black, isn't it? Anyway, both those guys have figured out that they've got 2 million people, literally, that are not accounted anywhere in the books in Alibaba. Nowhere can you find them. And the question is, just how bad is that black hole of accounting over in China when you can have 2 million employees delivering packages and there's absolutely nowhere where it's accounted for? And of course, since they're in China, no way that you can actually make them account for it. They just pull up a middle finger to you and say, come on over here, you'll end up in a gulag if you question us. But very interesting. Enron, God, if those guys were smart, they would have just done it in China. They'd still be living high on the hog. Not much happening after that. We are looking at this level. Evil Corp, Goldman Sachs. All I can think of is, Kristen Slater Christian Slater was good in Mr. Robot. Somebody's in here putting Evil Corp equals Goldman Sachs. Everybody's saying Goldman Sachs is making off like a bandit. And all I can think of is that Wall Street spent $52 million on one candidate that lost. They spent less than $1 million on another candidate that won. And Goldman Sachs actually said that you're going to get fired if you give any money to the candidate that actually won. Man, you got to think that there's a lot of people out here really tying themselves in pretzels to figure out how this is all some kind of great plan. Not saying that Goldman Sachs does not deserve to get whipped profusely on a daily basis. We know that they've done 1,000 things we haven't found out already. So they deserve it. But I don't know if that particular story holds a lot of water, just in the fact that they didn't want anything to do with the president. Let's get to some of the other stuff out here on a day where things are just kind of quiet. We're off 1 point. Volume is 2.4 billion shares. What else do we have going on out here? There was some of the stuff that someone wanted to ask about. You can email me at path@tfnn.com. You can give me a phone call at 877-927-6648. Yes, Wild Kingdom. It was on at Saturday nights at 5, I remember, because I would be waiting for dinner. My grandmother would make dinner on Saturday nights. Anything really happening out here? You kind of pulled back hard. When you look at the index volumes compared to the ETF's volumes, there is a ton of difference yesterday. That's why I'm kind of thinking there's a bit of a divergence going on out here. And that is, you've got the big slam down yesterday, and you had monstrous volume in the actual indexes. Let me do this because I did it earlier out here. So in the NASDAQ, yesterday you had 2.164 billion shares. The day before, 1.86 billion shares. So let's call it 2.15 billion shares yesterday. Those are pretty. The NASDAQ was absolutely wheeling with the amount of volume in it. When you go back into the NYSE too, you had on Wednesday 5.5 billion shares, but yesterday it came down with this 5 billion shares. And I'm saying just 5 because 6 months ago we would have died for 5 billion shares. So I'm not saying that there isn't any context to this, but there's still, I think, what we had was a huge rebalancing of these markets. And depending on what you look at, there was a lot of crisscross action both on the long and short side. Yesterday, you should have seen kind of the volumes we've had with previous highs in the NYSE volume or the total NASDAQ volume. And you really didn't get it yesterday in the QQQs. It was kind of localized to the SMHs and the SOX. We'll look at both of those real quick. Again, huge volume in a very narrow sector in this ETF, in the SMHs. You had a huge move and a bounce today. And again, as I was saying, I don't have it up here right now. I can get it up. SMHs. Take a quick. I looked at this earlier today. Normally, I'm just going to run off the numbers here because I don't have a chart for it. But this is the last 6 days of shorting on the SMHs. 9% on the 25th. We get into the 28th. Huge short, and that is the on the 28th. And then you go back to 10% on the 29th, and then 13% on the 30th. Yesterday, we get 19%. Now, one of my theories on working on how much short interest there is in a stock on a daily basis, and again, these numbers don't tell you how many people went home only that the trade was initiated with a short position. So they could have taken it off by the end of the day, and many people do. But normally you get these massive changes in numbers, and you do find out that that does set off a huge move in the marketplace for what's going on. Where to go back here? So, but huge move down in these, and yeah, you kind of we've talked about it before. You kind of want good volume, but you don't want ludicrous volume. And when you see ludicrous volume, a lot of times that doesn't mean that it's the end of the way down, but it does mean that at least maybe you are ready for a counter trend. Too many people all on the same side of the boat. As I say many times, the light that it burns twice as bright only burns half as long. And sometimes the porridge is just too hot. I kind of saw that in what we had yesterday, especially when you went through the sectors. It wasn't broad selling. It was kind of targeted out here on these semis. And should have seen a lot more in some of the other ETFs.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Direction's daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And, well, what do you got going on out here? Like I said, I'm not expecting a whole lot out here. I think the market's just waiting for the Italy vote. It will be a big yawner, and the market will probably, I'm guessing it's going to open at 2,200 on the S&P cash. So that's about it. We got 2.47 billion shares. And I think we've got kind of a little bit of a move out here where we're going to probably get back up above 2,200, and we'll see what happens then. But just anytime the entire market decides to go short, I think that we've got the risk reward is poor to go short. Let me put it that way. Maybe you make money, but it's not going to be as big as if everybody was bullish. Everybody's so bearish these days. I'm always bearish, or generally bearish, and that I'm bullish here may tell you something. Maybe I'm insane. I wanted to look at a few other charts out here today. In fact, let's get to some of the things already in progress. We talked before the Umbrella earnings came out. It's down 10% today. I was saying just how bad GoPro looked. This probably would have been the way to play it. I didn't want to going into earnings. Maybe they had one more month in that last quarter, but the proof of the pudding is in here. Huge volume down, so a huge sign of weakness on a gap. 53.70 is your next low. My guess is this thing's going to go to at least 45. They make the video compression, decompression chips for the GoPros and a lot of others out there. So it's not like they're going to be going out of business as if GoPro does. But the ability to probably charge a big premium is going away if the company that charges $300 for their device is replaced by a company that charges $30 for their device. The most that Umbrella could make would be $30 at that point. So kind of tough. But pretty good indication, and also I suspect a pretty good description of an ABC down now in Umbrella. And that sets you up for $44.53. And guess what that tells you? It's right back in here to where this double gap goes in. That's at just about $46, down to about $45. That this comes in at $44.53. I suspect gives you probably about a 75% chance of hitting that $44.53 before you would ever get any kind of meaningful up leg in this. Doesn't mean you won't bounce for a little while. I would like this actually to kind of wander back up after this big day down, and maybe you look up here into the first week of January for a possible short position down to this $44.53 low. That's a nice ABC though. And if you want to look at an example, you got Tom's book. You're just learning. Look at that. October 3rd is the A point. Your November 9th is your B point, and your November 23rd is your C point. And of course, if you had the art of timing the trade charts, it would have already been done automatically for you. If you lived here, you'd be home by now. I always love those signs in California. We warned about this, and that is sometimes you need to have an enemy. And of course, for the last 8 years, the best gun salesman ever has been President of the United States. We've been kind of talking about without that same kind of threat of losing arms and the Second Amendment. There may not be the same kind of pressure in Smith & Wesson. Same gap down on the 9th of November. Hey, isn't that amazing? Got down to 2102. Pop back up. It's down on fairly decent volume days, especially more than the November 11th. If you look at this chart, you'll find it goes back down to about $5. If we have a two-term president in Mr. Trump, I would not be surprised to see Smith & Wesson go back down to that $5 level. There were a lot of things that the previous administration did that fed into the idea that, of course, and many things that not without cause, but as when Mr. Obama became president, he said he would go after coal. This is just kind of the flip side of it, isn't it? There's no real boogeyman out here to drive people to think that they're not going to have their guns for the next 4 years and maybe 8. Who knows? But this makes it very tough. And, of course, even then you're going to get at least 3 or maybe 4 Supreme Court appointments. My guess is his biggest proponent in the election and running ads was the folks from the NRA. My guess is you're going to get pretty pro-gun guys in the Supreme Court. So it looks to me like that's going to be a lot tougher. I want to go back here and look at this, though. But I don't think this thing over time would have a real problem getting back down to the $5 level. I think eventually every person has 10 guns, and it's actually $2.29. I would not be surprised to see, just glut we've had for the last 4 or 5 years. Eventually you just get so many of them that does anybody really need any more? And this may be one of the best bubbles of all time out here. I'm going to watch it closely, but if you wanted to sit on a short for 2 years, probably would not be a bad bet if you can get a nice bounce in this one. Other stocks of interest out here: ULTA, Ultra Salon. This thing's just off a little bit off of 1%. Let's close in here just a little bit. It did open a little higher, kind of sold off today. Nice intraday trading out here, by the way. Lots of volume. Just kind of hard to see how this thing gets that much better. It had such a huge run from back in the, let's look at this a little bit later. If you're talking about a long-term short, it's not going to be a matter of weeks before the wheels fall off of these gun companies. But 2 years, 3 years, certainly could be that. In Ultra Salon, you've got a couple of 3 gaps out here. I wouldn't be surprised to see in any pullback next year that this gets filled. I do like that this thing kind of sold off here today. What I really would want to see, though, is maybe one more test of this 278.63, which is the August 24th high. If it would just come within $1 of that. I mean, we got kind of close with $5, but my guess is this thing could kind of drift back up here again at the beginning of the year. It may be one of the better shorts out here. I like this 3-gap play. The center one at $200 could have been a little bit more, but this thing, eventually you get everybody going to be in a stock like this in it, just like Apple, just like Amazon, and you get into what is called a crowded trade on the street. And I suspect that Ultra Salon is showing you the first signs today of that crowded trade. When we come back, one of my favorite companies, and one day I will be able to buy it. I've never been able to find a good technical signal on it yet to buy it, but I love the CEOs. One of the only CEOs I really like, and the CFOs, and that's Workday. We'll talk about that when we come back. Give me a call, 877-927-6648.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile-based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
And we're back. As we said, we're going to go through a lot of these. Some comments in the den about Ultra maybe having some issues out there. I'm not familiar with that. I just think that, again, everybody gets on the same gravy train, and it ends up being one of those things that you've got to have some new buyers somewhere out there, and it doesn't happen a great deal. What is that? We were talking about my favorite company just because the CEOs and the folks out here, this is a fairly new IPO. This thing got up at $93. Been very tough to buy. Been waiting for this thing to kind of settle out after it's been out for a couple of years. If you're unfamiliar with this company, I really like it. They are kind of like a Paychex, but all online. They take care of all the software. All you do is you hire somebody to put in a seat, and everything is done in the cloud. So you just rent the services, and you just have one of your local accountants stick in all the stuff, and they take care of all the compliance issues and everything else, and keeping the software updated for your locale. So if you don't want any of your own in-house programmers, or if you want a lot of stuff done for you, these guys do it. It's all on the cloud. It's all software as a service, so you don't have a lot of upfront costs. Beautiful thing. It's just one of these kind of companies that maybe takes a while to actually get going, and I kind of knew that. There's going to be fits where they sell a lot of stuff and fits where they don't, and heaven and hell, and really tough to see because they are a fairly new company. But this thing, if it would kind of come back, as we've been talking, how many of these stocks have come back where these double gaps ended up? This one's about $62. This thing would go sideways for a while. It would be nice. Ideally, I'm going to get a test of the $47.32 low from back here on February 9th, and maybe that will be my long-term buy on this. But really like what these guys do. As an example, SMTP. This thing languaged forever. Do I actually have it right here? STMP maybe. No, STMP. If I can type the right. Stamps.com. If we go back and look at for this one for a while, this thing, was $18 back on in 2012, and didn't really make any kind of signs like this thing was ever going to change. Slowly, people decided they didn't want to go to the post office anymore. And, a great deal of what they have going on here is just replacing the post office. A pretty good business idea. I got maybe gun shy from this stock mostly and couldn't see what was going on. Jim Fowler has the other guy on the show. We have somebody calling in. But stamps.com out here, kind of the same kind of stock, maybe. You're going to see a lot of back and forth, and it may take 2 or 3 or 4 years to come out here. But we have Adam from Seattle. How you doing, Adam?
Very good. I was wondering, do you think gold can go up because of that Italian decision on Monday, whatever the referendum is? Because I noticed on the brick exit on June 23rd, if you look at gold, we had a big pop on June 23rd. And do you think the same thing we're setting up for now? Or are we setting up for to go lower? Like, do you think the dollar, and how do you think the dollar is going to react?
I think the equity markets are headed up. The TLT kind of bounced. It may have made a small bottom out here. I think that kind of worried people over the last couple of days. I think is why they got short a lot of the equities, at least the weaker of the equities that they thought. I don't think the Italy vote's going to do much. I think we had 2 surprises. We had the Brexit, and we had the U.S. Presidential election.
It was a reignited gold. If you look at the date there, June 23rd, gold popped and the dollar popped.
Yeah, and then what did it do?
It kept on going.
Gold?
So I'm saying gold, June 23rd was like a pivot day for it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to pop up again?
No, I think gold's going. I mean, I think the dollar's going to 105. So I think, can it bounce for a few days? Can it bounce for a few days? Yeah.
Okay.
Can it bounce for a couple of weeks? Yeah. I'm not saying this wouldn't be a good trade. I suspect that before we hit 99s in the dollar index, we hit 105s. So we're closer to that 100, but I think we're at pretty strong support in the dollar. So, could it just hang around for 101 for a while and gold drift up? I think it can, but my guess is very shortly we're going to, and it may be as quickly as the Fed meeting next week, we're going to see that dollar re-engage. Are you there?
Question. Yeah, question. I had a question. What happens when Trump needs to borrow more money in January? What will happen to the dollar? And, it'll be a whole rigmarole because we're $20 trillion in debt. What happens then to the dollar when, he has to go to the Senate and ask for, tons of money and an extension?
I don't know if he has to go to that much more. They've already asked for all that money. In fact, I think it's going to be done here in the next week or two in the lame duck session. So I don't know if it's that big a deal.
Really?
No one screamed from when we started at 10 trillion to 20 trillion. No one's really made a big deal about it. There have been maybe a couple of folks. My view has been, at least what Trump says, is that he's going to repatriate all the cash, trillions of dollars from overseas, from these companies that won't bring it back. He's going to tax it. That money's going to go into the money he wants to borrow to build infrastructure. So do I think he's going to go off and borrow $2 trillion to start infrastructure projects in January? I think the answer is no. I think the first thing's going to happen is the tax thing's going to get changed. We're going to see that the corporate interest rate gets moved down. When that happens, then he'll make it some kind of deal with all these big companies to draw all that cash back. And it won't be all in one day. He'll say something like, you can bring back, $500 million a year or $1 billion a year, $5 billion a year, whatever it is. And each year, some of that money that he's going to throw $1 trillion into works projects, maybe he's going to get 800 billion of it back. Maybe the whole trillion, who knows? But that is his plan. So we will know probably within the first 3 months. But I'm not really worried about him figuring out a way to raise cash. He thinks he's going to get it in income tax. Mm-hmm. That's his stated plan. And you could kind of see how all that thing could kind of work. But all those things have to come in line. But you can make your bet now that doesn't happen. But my guess is the market will not respond unless there's some kind of real mess up later on.
So I think like the Dow's going to 100,000.
No, I'm actually saying that the stock market will probably pull back in January.
Well, I noticed when Reagan was president, I looked at something and it said the stock market stayed the same for 2 years after that.
Yeah.
It hit the top 28 days after his presidential cycle, when he got it in order. You know what I mean? and then it stays
Yeah, no,
flat for 2 years.
I think we certainly could have a year or 18 months while he works out all the bugs before the real big growth cycle restarts. So I'm not other than this month, I am not bullish. We'll be back after this short time now.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to the Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
Well, speaking about quitting, the Starbucks CEO has quit for the second time. I don't know if everybody knows that this guy quit. Everything went to hell in a handbasket, and he came back. But he has come back. And now he's handing over the reins yet to another CEO. Kind of initially taken a lot more bearishly last night. I think I saw this in the 54s or 55s. Not a bad day. Kind of came back a little today. I think, I don't know if it really matters that much anymore. Starbucks is rather ubiquitous. They're talking about spending a lot more money for higher-end Starbuckses, and maybe he's going to do some of that. But my guess is the guy's kind of probably worn out of rebuilding the company for the second time, and he's ready to go. Anyway, not a lot of volume out here today. I don't know if all the issues that Starbucks faces in the near future really have that much to do with the CEO. Probably a lot more organic reasons of growth, price of coffee, how much they can actually expand in places like China. And again, if I would hear this CEO start talking about how much money they're going to make in China, I would be thinking of shorting Starbucks, actually. I'm trying to remember the company that made a lot of money going to China. Yum's now spinning off their China deal. Everybody else is doing that. Is Adam, are you still there? I thought I heard him click and hang up. Okay. Anyway, you got kind of a nice bounce out here. I would watch this into the first of the year. And if you start hearing any very wild expansions into China, I would probably not want to be long this and probably think about maybe even shorting it, because they may be yet the next company to throw a wad of cash down the toilet going to China. China's just not going to let you walk out with a wad of cash from their country. I don't think it's going to happen. What else do we have going on out here? Five Below, which I've actually gone into now a few times. I never really understood the whole Five Below concept. But now I see that they're kind of like mini stores where they put their store right next to another store. And driving around town, I'm now that I know what their sign looks like, they go right in next to the Dollar Tree stores, which is kind of interesting. This thing popped up. I couldn't find anything to buy in there. It's like the dollar store. Everything's $1. And there's a reason why it's $1, right? But they are kind of in that same vein, except they're $5 and below. So they can have a few more things. Not quite as crowded as the dollar stores. The dollar stores have a few more stuff shoved in there, a little cleaner, a little more well lit. The dollar, when I've gone by them, I've looked at the crowds in both of them, and the dollar store seems to have a mass of people in it each day. The Five Below, maybe half of that. I don't know if that's going to change as inflation continues, and you can't be a dollar store anymore. But it is kind of an interesting thing. Well, business is getting better out there. They had their earnings. Nice pop, volume, nice gap. But I think this is yet another one of these stocks where a lot of people were short, and there probably just wasn't a lot to it. Well, we're out of time for the day. We'll see you Monday. Same bat channel, same bat time. Remember to sell when you can, not when you have to.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.
You're watching Tiger TV.